Hi, this is Teresa from Midnight Latte Designs. Today we're going to discuss tracing your pattern to your fabric. First thing you're going to need to do is have a piece of well-ironed 100% cotton fabric, light colored because it needs to be able to show through. I've used tans and got some acceptable results, but it can be a bit difficult if you go very dark. The next thing you have, I don't know if you noticed, is a very bright light. And you need to have a smooth surface. I use a piece of plexiglass. A tabletop, as long as there's no grain underneath it, works just fine. So I've got each of these tagged down, and if you need to do it in the center also, tape it down with tape. I'm going to tape down my fabric here. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to keep from moving. You don't want it shifting on you. You can correct it a little bit if it shifts, but if it shifts a lot, then it makes it a little difficult. One thing to keep in mind while you're tracing is this is not perfect. You don't have to draw all of the lines perfectly as they are on your pattern. So don't get upset if my pattern goes one direction and yours goes a little bit the different direction. Nobody's going to know but you. Okay, let me tape it down here at the bottom and we should be okay. Masking tape works very well also. I just don't happen to have any on me at the moment, so it works. Now if you notice, you can see through. I've got some lazy daisies right here. I've got some little dots on the end of the little stamens, and those are French knots. They don't have to be, but if you want to, use a dot to make them. Lazy daisies, you put little dots to note where they start, and then look at the pattern to see which direction and how large they're going to be. And then you just start tracing the outlines. And remember what I said. Don't worry about perfection. Nobody's going to know. We're going to do a few of these here. Oh, and I traced it, so now I'm going to have to be careful. When you do this, don't worry about it. Just try to get your thread over the top of them. I've done it many times without thinking about it, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. That's why I always wind up buying extra fabric. Okay, my little bow here, that is not a lazy daisy because it's rather large. And then we're going to draw the flower. I like to start with the large sweeping lines first. Sometimes I start with my landscape line, and sometimes I start with the flower. And if you notice, if you can see here, it's not perfect, and I didn't get right underneath the ants. The ants are French knots, so, and always use your micron pen. I use a 01 because I don't get a good strong mark with a 005. Many people can work with a 005. I just, for some reason, I'm not able to. So there we've got the ants. And then I'm going to work to my petals. And remember what I said, because even I am not tracing perfectly over my pattern here. Nobody's going to know. And if you feel like you need to practice, maybe you've never done this before, get a piece of paper and just practice on paper before. It works perfectly fine. Just use a pencil and a piece of paper and go for it. And I will admit these leaves are sometimes a little difficult to follow, even for me. But these are meant to be a little challenging. My patterns are meant to present a little bit of a challenge. And many things you can cover up with your embroidery. And there we have it. We've actually traced the pattern to the fabric. Does it look exactly like the drawn pattern? No. That is where your artistic capabilities come in, your creativity, your thread work. You're going to wind up working lazy daisies while you look at the pattern, see what direction they're going. You're going to wind up coloring in and outlining with thread. And so this is going to look completely different after you're done with it. Have a good day and have fun tracing.